This is the Great Basin seasonal outlook from August through November of 2020. This is meteorologist Basil Numerjitsky. Looking at temperature and precipitation for the past month of July, on the left-hand side, temperatures not that much different from average, about 2 to 4 degrees warmer than normal in many southern areas, about 2 to 4 degrees cooler than normal in the north. Precipitation departures from normal, quite a large area of drier than normal conditions where you see the dark red areas, except for a few embedded islands where there were some heavier showers and thunderstorms. Much of the region, especially down into the Arizona Strip, southern Nevada, much drier than normal. And you see that's an extension of what has been going on since the late spring and early summer. The past 3 months, much drier than normal. Arizona Strip, southern Nevada, right along the Utah-Nevada border. Getting a little wetter than normal across parts of western and central Idaho, and that's where our fire season has progressed the slowest so far, but that is definitely changing. A look at our fall and winter precipitation from 2019 to 2020 does show a wet anomaly in the far south, and that has helped fuel some fine grass growth from areas from Vegas to the Arizona Strip, at least the western portion of it. Elsewhere, though, it's been overall a drier than normal winter with below normal snowpack. It was the previous winter of 2018 to 2019 where we were much wetter than normal, especially the southern half of the geographic area, actually the southern two-thirds. Some areas 150 to 200% of normal precipitation, and that led to some really extensive fine field growth. So last summer, back in 2019, a lot of the fine field growth here across western Nevada, cutting back from about Ely southwards into parts of central western Utah, had above to far above average grass amounts. So that was something that we're watching now for areas that did not burn last year because they were too green. Lots of available fuel in those areas. The monthly soil moisture index departure from normal, you can see below normal departures here across much of Utah into parts of Nevada, near normal elsewhere. The Evaporative Demand Drought Index, sometimes called the Flash Drought Indicator, for the past month indicates how drier it's been across our southern area, especially areas down here in southern and eastern Utah, which normally get the big monsoon effect. They haven't gotten it. A little more moist in the north because the month started quite wet across much of Idaho. We look at the longer-term drought monitor, and we can see many areas here in the orange in severe drought. Even a little island here by Sun Valley in Idaho, it's been a persistent pattern over the past several months. And now we're starting to see areas in the red here of extreme drought popping up in parts of western Utah and eastern Nevada. And that drought outlook expects drought conditions to continue from July through October 31st. We see this area in the brown through here, so we expect no major change. Areas that are currently already quite dry will just continue getting drier. That has had an effect on our live fuel moisture, looking particularly at our sagebrush here in northwest Utah. Whenever the sagebrush gets below 120%, it no longer really inhibits fire, and when it gets below 100, it can burn readily in the fire environment. We can see here, northwest Utah, about 75 or so. Areas in central western Nevada dropping down to about 70 or so. These are record low levels in the red. Normal is the dotted green line, and you can see down here in the west central Utah, we are near record levels, about 55 or so in the sagebrush, about as low as they can go before it basically starts dying out. So that's very, very concerning. Our ERCs across the region are, a lot of them are in the 90th to 97th percentiles. When you see the reds and dark reds through here, more moist obviously is head further north. It's that northeastern portion of Idaho and western Wyoming still hanging near or below the 50th percentile, and it'll take quite a bit of dry weather to get those areas into play, but otherwise across the central mountains of Idaho, they're drying back out pretty rapidly to what I would say is near normal conditions, 70th to maybe higher percentiles. 10-hour fuel moisture is critically dry as you can get, 1 to 2% in that dark red, 3 to 4% elsewhere. So basically all grasses are cured below 6,000 feet in most areas. Maybe the exception is down by Jackson Hole or so, or the valleys of eastern Idaho, but otherwise most are cured and fine fuels definitely ready to go. 100-hour fuels also below 5% all across Nevada, western Utah, the Arizona Strip, and 6 to 10% single digits just about everywhere else except eastern Idaho and western Wyoming. 1,000-hour fuels also critically dry, below 5%. So in the heavier timber, where we see a lot of the fires going on in eastern Nevada, southwest Utah, our heavy fuels are definitely critically dry and definitely good enough to go in this gold shade here, single-digit 1,000-hour fuels, getting up into the edge of central Idaho as well. Just a little pocket of moisture well up into northeast Idaho, where fuels are still quite moist. Fire activity on the last day of July. You can see new fire starts in the red, existing fires or recent fires in the yellow, large incidents in the open circles, and it looks like basically everywhere is burning. Areas in southern Utah and the Arizona Strip, which should be dying down with the monsoon this time of year, not doing so. Areas up in Idaho starting up, so we're getting a widespread mosaic of fire activity starting to spread further northwards in the Great Basin. So we looked at the past conditions of drought, weather, fuels. What happens from here? Looking at some El Nino or La Nina signals, computer models indicate a trend here in the neutral to slight La Nina phase. And that tends to favor dry weather across portions of the Great Basin. So we'll have to see how that plays out, at least during the late summer months. There's been a correlation between a weak La Nina and some drier weather across parts of the Great Basin, especially northern areas. So we'll see how that plays out. But here are our climate outlooks. 8 to 14 day from August 8th to the 14th. You can see a cooler than normal signal across California, but warmer than normal here temperature-wise. But it's really on the right-hand side that I would focus on the precipitation, a drier than normal signal everywhere, and that includes the Four Corners monsoon region. It includes western Wyoming and the mountains of Idaho, so a persistent drying trend continuing into the second week of August. Looking further down the road, the entire monthly outlook shows above normal temperatures on the whole when we average in all of August, and a strong drier than normal signal everywhere. Our northern areas, which will become more active up in Idaho and probably western Wyoming before the end of the month, but especially down in our monsoon-prone areas, looks like we will not expect much monsoon relief. So fire activity continuing down areas by Richfield and Moab and Kanab, towards Vegas as well probably, so a little disconcerting. The 3-month outlook from August to October shows that drier than normal signal continuing, so this has the potential of being one of those seasons that drags on well into the late summer and perhaps early fall, along with above normal temperatures here. So we put all the pieces together, the past conditions of precipitation, fuel, and the expected weather conditions that we're expecting, and this is what we see for August. Above normal fire potential in the red. Already areas above normal in the western half of Utah, going down into all of Nevada and starting to spread up into the Snake River Plain of Idaho, still excluding the highest terrain where fuels are getting to near normal dryness, but nothing that I would consider above normal yet. And actually the western third of the Arizona Strip probably could also be in the red. It's a very long west to east and actually goes along this little appendage here. So probably if we drew it in half or so or in a third, that western portion definitely would be considered for all practical purposes above normal. September, looking again above normal. We should see a return to some sort of normalcy in September through here. At least the longer nights, there tends to be less historical incidents of large fires, but from about the Highway 50 corridor on northwards, or the I-80 corridor northwards, we expect fire activity to continue across many areas and spreading up into the higher terrain of central Idaho at this time. And then probably returning back to normalcy at this point, October and November. Not enough information yet to make a call in October whether fire season could linger in some areas, but something we'll have to watch later on in the period. And that concludes our outlook. Have a great day.